We just got a brand new Pianosaurus comic, just like the Bunzo Bunny one. On Mob Entertainment's Twitter, they have recently been posting a day in the life of Pianosaurus story, and it reveals a ton about the character and his lore. I think this took most people by surprise, as I didn't expect them to do something like this again, but I'm glad they did because these are really cool. It expands the character's lore just enough to keep things interesting, and no wonder it's centered around Pianosaurus because after all, he only had like 30 seconds of screen time. That being said, you'll notice this comic is different from the Bunzo one. It's split into two, and there's a reason for this. So let's jump into this comic and uncover the untold lore of Pianosaurus. The first panel is clearly split into two, a light side on the right and a dark side on the left. Imagination and reality. A sharp contrast between the two. I'll talk about this more later on, but keep it in mind because it's important. We see Hoppy Hopscotch inside of Safe Haven. While she's standing in front of the bathroom door, she hears music coming from inside. Now, this comic is from the perspective of Pianosaurus. So in Pianosaurus's mind, this is inside of a live music show building. Upon opening the door, Hoppy sees Pianosaurus stomping around and playing music inside of the bathroom alone. However, in Pianosaurus's mind, he is on a stage performing in front of a crowd of people. Remember, these toys are children and the power of imagination is immeasurable. Pianosaurus is using his imagination to create happiness, something all the toys were lacking during those dark times. Hence the light and dark comic panels. Hoppy walks up and we had two options. A, pull Hoppy onto the stage and dance with him, or B, encourage Hoppy to crowd surf. Just like the Bunzo comic, the users on Twitter were able to help make this choice. I wanted to see choice B because if there was no real crowd, how would Hoppy crowd surf? That would have been very interesting to say the least. But the majority chose option A, pull Hoppy onto the stage to dance with him. So Pianosaurus does just that and grabs Hoppy's hand to pull her onto the stage. The two begin to dance like there's no tomorrow in front of a crowd. Remember, this is in Pianosaurus's mind. But in reality, while they were dancing, Pianosaurus accidentally steps on Hoppy, slamming her into the ground. All of Pianosaurus's weight crushes the toy. Doughy the Dough Man witnesses this horrific accident and picks up the bloody body of poor Hoppy, pointing for Pianosaurus to leave the room. But in Pianosaurus's mind, Doughy was dressed as a police officer, telling him there was no music allowed. Pianosaurus was completely oblivious to what he had just done. To him, Doughy was just ruining the fun he was having. Pianosaurus walks away from the building upset, while Doughy confronts Hoppy, when in reality, Pianosaurus just accidentally killed a Hoppy Hopscotch toy. We can see Doughy grieving over his lost friend. This panel was dark, and it wasn't what I was expecting to happen. It shows the power of imagination, how Pianosaurus was so into his own world that he mistakenly killed his own friend without even realizing it. He even pictures Doughy as a police officer, taking away his fun. It's another reminder that even Pianosaurus is just a kid, and if Doughy acts as an adult or a voice of authority, Pianosaurus sees him as a cop, enforcing something he doesn't want, like no music. Pianosaurus was just trying to have some fun during those dark times. However, it seems his size and imagination would turn the fun into tragedy. This is also a hint that Pianosaurus wasn't used to being so big. To him, he was still a small child who was just trying to get that feeling back. From here, we have another two options. A, Pianosaurus heads to the park to start a new concert, or B, Pianosaurus heads to the train station to start a small jam session. This brings us to the third panel where choice A was chosen. Pianosaurus goes to the park to start a new concert. However, in reality, the park is just inside the prison yard. But in Pianosaurus's mind, it's of course a real park. While inside the location, he looks for the other critters that seem to be hiding from him. It's as if they know Pianosaurus is not familiar with his massive size and could accidentally crush them just like Hoppy. So this could tell us that they try to stay away from him when they can. While he's looking, in Pianosaurus's mind, he is just wandering through the park. He eventually finds the critters as they are clearly hiding behind objects. But to him, they're all just hanging out on a tree and some rocks at the park. They want Pianosaurus to start the concert, hence the music notes. And the critters of course look more like their animal counterparts considering this isn't reality. So this panel seems to show that the smaller critters might be scared of Pianosaurus considering his size. Like I said, he doesn't realize how big he is. Again, reminding us that he doesn't understand the situation that he's in. He is a giant that means well while unintentionally hurting others. Our next options are A, approach the critters and pet them, or B, give the critters what they want, a full-blown concert. Now, considering what happened with Hoppy, I think we know what is going to happen next. No matter what choice, Pianosaurus is going to accidentally kill them all. In the fourth panel, option B was chosen. Give them what they want, a full-blown concert. This makes Pianosaurus so happy he could cry. So he starts playing his music, and in his mind, all of the critters are happily dancing to his jam. He just wants the others to like him, and by doing this, well, he thinks they do. However, in reality, Pianosaurus is actually stepping on them and squashing all of the critters. Now, in his mind, they are all still alive, dancing away to his music. It's another example of the power of imagination. To him, they are all dancing, but in reality, they're all dead. He killed them. It's a very graphic scene, and as we saw before, this isn't the first time it's happened. Pianosaurus is so big and unpredictable with his movements that he always seems to hurt others because of it. Even after he looks at the dead critters, he still imagines them as alive and enjoying his music. That seems to be all he's ever wanted during times like this, friends that want to dance with him. It also seems Pianosaurus is not processing what he is doing as violence. He probably doesn't know any better. Like I've been saying, he's just a young kid inside that big body. The next two options are A, start a parade, or B, find more band members to join the concert, meaning more death is likely to come. The fifth and sixth panel are where things take a huge turn. Option B was chosen, find more band members to join the concert first. So Pianosaurus leaves his friends, who he thinks is still alive, and finds a Bobby Bear Hug toy. He begins chowing down on poor Bobby, munching away at its body. To Pianosaurus, he is actually just talking to Kickin' Chicken, and he mentions music coming from a Brawn toy inside an alley. As we can see, Pianosaurus thinks he's still inside of a city, but in reality, it's revealed that Pianosaurus is actually in the cell the player found him in chapter 4, hence the present day from before. We see that exact event unfold from Pianosaurus's perspective, and it reveals what really happened to him. While chewing on Bobby Bear Hug, Pianosaurus turns around to see the player, but in his mind, the player is actually Brawn holding a tambourine. Pianosaurus walks forward, thinking Brawn wants to participate in his concert, when suddenly Pianosaurus gets grabbed. As we know, Dowie ate him. All that remains is Pianosaurus's head. The comic and Pianosaurus's story ends here. So what was the point of this comic? What did it all mean? Well, it gives us more lore about Pianosaurus and fills in why he was killed by Dowie. You see, Pianosaurus had a very strong imagination. After all, he was just a kid. He would picture his surroundings differently from what they actually were, imagining the world as a fun city where he could perform his music. That's all he really seemed to want, for others to like his music. But this imagination was not just harmless fun. Rather, it always seemed to turn deadly. Instead of dancing with his friends, Pianosaurus was killing them. Was this on purpose, considering he was actively eating Bobby Bear Hug? Or did he just not know any better? I think this was left ambiguous to make us wonder. Was he good or was he bad? Regardless, his killing had to stop, and Dowie made sure of this. Pianosaurus was not always inside the cell the player found him in. He lived inside of Safe Haven with all the other survivors. While inside, he would ultimately end up killing some of the others. Like I just said, it's unknown if this was on purpose or if Pianosaurus was truly lost in his own world, blinded by the happiness he was trying to create. While on a killing spree, Pianosaurus found himself inside a large cell. While away from the other survivors, Dowie knew what he had to do. He would turn into his angered form and eat Pianosaurus, putting an end to all his killing. A necessary evil for the greater good. This is a familiar theme we saw in chapter 4. That is why Dowie ate him, to save the survivors Pianosaurus was killing. And I think it's very interesting that he saw us, the player, as Brawn. So, was Pianosaurus truly a monster, or was he just a kid trapped inside his own mind? I'll let you decide. What did you think of this Pianosaurus comic? I thought that it was so cool, and I love that it expanded on Pianosaurus's lore. Having it explain why he was killed by Doey was perfect. So let me know your thoughts about this comic in the comments below, and if you like horror game content like this, please consider subscribing. Also, I have a Discord server, so if you want to chat with me, I recommend joining. And if you want to support the channel more, you can become a member. Don't forget to follow my Twitter at TerrifyT. Thanks for watching.